So welcome to Convocation. My name is Jason Bullock, and I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Administration, and this will be my 6th year with the district, and what I know is this is a good place to be. Partly because I think we do things right. This event, kicking off the school year in this way with support from our community and having our staff here together, it's an exciting day. Guys, we're ready for a great year. We've got some fun things in store for you today as we kick off and get ready to help kids, help families, and get ready to get closer and closer to being the best school district in the state of Texas. So, to begin, I'd like to ask everybody to stand as I welcome Sonia Ebel, who is a school board member here on the MISD Board of Trustees, to open us in prayer.
Good morning. If you choose to pray with us, please bow your heads. Dear Father, thank you for the wonderful teachers and administrators gathered here today. Please bless them and give them the wisdom to help nurture and shape our children's lives. Please provide them patience as they continue being great mentors and role models for our children. Our community is blessed to have these teachers help guide our students to their full potential. And for our newest teachers, please remind them of Joshua 1:9. Be not afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. In your holy name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Please remain standing for the presentation of colors by the Navy Junior ROTC. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the pledge to the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. And now our Star Spangled Banner will be played by the Magnolia West High School Band. Thank you. You may be seated. So how about the Magnolia West High School Band with the seniors and leadership? Yes, under the direction of Mike Wilson, what a great job and a great way to get us started. Also want to say thank you again to HEB, to Gary Hefner, to Kitty Evangelista. That was awesome, wasn't it? Yeah. Thank you to Kendrick Skipper and Chick-fil-A, as always, for their support of the school district, our food service department, and for Magnolia High School and Dr. Mike Metz for hosting this event today and making everything available to us. I also want to say thank you to Denise Myers, our Director of Communication and PR. Denise is the person behind the scenes that makes all this happen, so thank you, Denise. At this time, I'm pleased to get to bring up Dasha Owens. Dasha is the president of the Magnolia Education Foundation, and she's going to talk to us about some of the things the foundation has planned for us this year. Dasha.
Hello, everyone. First off, I want to just thank the ISD for letting us be part of today. It really is an honor to serve as your next new president for the Magnolia Education Foundation for the upcoming year. At the start of the summer, there were 5 of us that were elected as to create a new board. So I'd like to take a minute to introduce some of these great folks. So we have Becky Albritton, if you could do a little stand. She is serving as our vice president. She has one daughter who is enrolled at Ellisor Elementary. And let me tell you something about her. If anyone knows anything about fundraising, she's the lady that knows it. And I'm steady learning from her and how it's done. Then we have Melissa Bobnar, and she is serving as our treasurer this year, and her kids are attending Smith Elementary. And she has just done an amazing job this summer getting everything transitioned, the books, and organized, and she's excited to write the checks for the grants come fall. And then we have Joe Mark Robinson, who is not here with us right now. He was here earlier, but he is serving as our secretary. And his kids are at Magnolia Parkway, as well as also at Bear Branch Junior High. I'm learning that this is how we do this. So he is a great addition to the board, and I'll tell you why. He's the one that we're sitting in a room, and he's always the one that wants to stretch our goal just a little bit higher. So he's a great person to have on the team. And then we also have a new position, a chair of communications this year, and that is being served by Jen Tolbert. And her kids are enrolled at Magnolia Parkway, along with mine. Jen's creativity and sharp marketing mind has already made a huge impact to MEF, and we're lucky to have her on board, so thanks. So, now that you know who we are a little bit, together we all immediately agreed that we thought with a fast-paced, growing community that we're in, and with a new board in place, we thought it would be a good time and opportunity to rethink our foundation's brand and to give it a fresh look to help increase awareness. Jen Tolbert, I mentioned earlier, she stepped up to make this new MEF brand a reality. She created a range of logo options, and as a board, along with active members of the foundation, we all voted on one that we think will stand strong for years to come. So we're excited about our brand and our logo, but you will notice within our brand we have 3 power words, and they are grow, support, and inspire. This is our new tagline and is a constant reminder that it is our foundation's purpose. It's a reminder for us, for you as teachers, for our students, and also our local businesses. We want to grow our students, we want to support our classrooms, and inspire our teachers to pursue their innovative projects. So with this in mind, the main initiative that I'm going to talk to you about today is really at the heart of who we are and why we are charged to do what we do. As most of you know, the foundation annually awards grants to teachers and staff who have a good idea, a solid plan, but maybe lack funding to implement it. So I'd like to take a moment to ask for anybody that has previously been a recipient or awarded a grant, even if it's a team, from Magnolia Education Foundation, if you would just please stand. So if you take a look around the room, know that as there's a good amount of people standing, but know that as a foundation, we want to see even more teachers and more recipients and more grants and more projects funded for the upcoming year. So I just encourage you to all write your proposals come fall. They're going to be due October 31st. And then as you get on Facebook, make sure to like our page so you can kind of follow what we're doing, and also just find out more details about the information for writing your proposal. So while we just talked about all that, I want to also talk about our goals, because that's a very important part. We set our goal this year for $75,000, and you may ask, well, what does this number really mean? And what it means for us as a foundation is that we set our goal over 100% higher than what was raised last year. So that means we have a fun challenge ahead of us. But the important part is really what the goal means for you. It means that as a foundation, we will hopefully be able to give back over 100% more in funding grants than last year. So that means, again, more recipients, more funding coming to all of your schools. The one last thing I want to talk about, you might have seen us out earlier this morning, is that we're excited about an initiative that has evolved from the Dollar Project. We found that other districts who use this approach had a great success. So what it is the Dollar Project is now called the New Employee Partner Program. And we are asking any employee that if they pledge $2 per paycheck, we will give you a new t-shirt that sports our fun new logo. And we are wearing all the shirts today, and we're pretty proud of how they turned out. We partnered with a local business, Hometown Junction. And we made it a point, we worked with them and wanted to make a high quality, soft, comfortable, and attractive shirt. So I encourage you to make your pledge, grab your t-shirt, and we believe that just wearing the t-shirt alone will show your own foundation support and help build awareness in our community so that we can get local businesses to also be excited about funding our foundation. So in closing today, I just speak as a parent raising an 8 and 10-year-old mainly, but I also speak on behalf of the foundation that just thank you for all that you do. Your job is huge and it is so important. So we are here to support you as a foundation, and we can't wait for you to inspire us through all your grant proposals this year. We're looking forward to an exciting year ahead, and I hope to see you again late fall, and I hope I have a big check with your name and project on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dasha. Exciting stuff. MEF is going to be visible, going to be around, and they're here to support you in your classrooms. This time, I get to introduce our superintendent of schools, Dr. Todd Stevens. Dr. Stevens has been with MISD since 1999. Yeah, it's been a while. And has been the superintendent since 2009. So, Dr. Stevens, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Bullock. And good morning, Magnolia ISD, and welcome back. It is wonderful to see you. And Dr. Bullock had to remind me of the number of years it's been here since 1999. Mr. Holland and I first came here. Seen a lot of first years come and go. And Mr. Holland, as we get a little older, he's the oldest of the two. I just need you to know that. But as you get a little older, these beginnings begin to take on a little more meaning and to get a little more special. And I certainly hope that we create an atmosphere here today that reminds you of just how special our job is and what we do in public education. But I guess for another year, as I always do, I want to tell you that I am blessed and I am honored to have another year to serve you as your superintendent in Magnolia ISD as we move to becoming the best district in the state of Texas. Can I hear a round of applause for that? golly, Miss Molly, you guys had a fantastic summer. You know, see my pictures. Magnolia ISD is all over the globe. I mean, we got teachers in Rome, we're in Australia, we're on Pikes Peak, we're all over the place. You know, what I hope is, I hope that you have recharged the batteries. I hope that your cup is overflowing and that you're going to have an opportunity to give back to our kids when they arrive here in just a few short days. But that's great. I'm glad you had some downtime. Around our house, we've been kind of busy. Our youngest is Holly Joe, who is still I guess she's the only teacher in the Stevens household now that Mrs. Stevens has entered retirement. But, and Holly still teaches at McCullough Junior High. She's this year she's going to be a social studies teacher and a volleyball coach. But she decided to move down to Midtown, down around Houston. I think that's where all the cool millennials like to live, down there, you know. And so I'm down there helping her move in. I'm looking at all this stuff. Of course, there's no place to park, but there's all these 20-something-year-old walkers, and they're walking dogs. And all the dogs have bandanas on, you know, and they're sitting in the coffee shops drinking coffee and talking about the things millennials talk about or whatever. But I give it till December, and the drive is going to start to get to her. But anyway, we've got her moved down there, and she's looking forward to another great year in Conroe ISD. Our oldest son, Sam, is still in the physical fitness business, and he's just moved in, and he's going to start working with a new company. I think it's called The Loft, I believe, training. There's several. It's a chain of them that's down in the Heights area, and he's going to be their new marketing director. So he's looking forward to that challenge. And Miss Stevens is still enjoying retirement and taking care of Brody and walking the dog. That's our grand dog for all the new folks that don't really know about Brody. I always talk about Brody a little bit at Convocation, but we had an exciting year last year. And so this summer we didn't really do a lot, but we remodeled the house. I mean, a complete remodel. And, you know, one of the things I didn't know, Gary, because I know Gary's been in a remodel, remodeling can be hazardous to your marriage. I didn't know that, you know? I mean, there are thousands of decisions you have to make. And I'm thinking, goodness, anybody who's building a house and had to go through that, Lord bless them for it. But just this remodeling project, you know, and it was just one thing. And of course, Mrs. Stevens, you know, said, hey, in a good marriage, when you go through a big project like this, we have to be a team. You know, we need to do this together. And she said, I don't want to be making all these decisions. So, you know, we've got to work together in this, and you're going to have to tell me what you think about a lot of those things. And I'm thinking, okay, you know, sure, absolutely. I want to be a team member. I want to be a part of all this, you know. So she would bring me, what do you think about this kind of tile or this? And I have to make a choice between the two. And at first, I really thought she wanted to know what I thought about it. Then I become to realize that I think she already knew what she wanted, and she was just sort of running that by me to confirm. So at first I would say, oh, I like this one. And then it was like, really? Well, why do you like that? And I began to realize this could be a real problem. So guys, I came up with a couple of little things that you might want to remember if you ever have to go through one of these things. They're kind of the Jedi warrior tricks in terms of that when they bring. So when she would bring me something and say, so between this or between this, what do you think about it? And I would think, well, what would Chip and Joanna do? And she would think a second, you know, I don't know, I need to think. And all of a sudden, I'm kind of off the hook. You know, and the other thing, she goes, well, what about this type of cabinets for the kitchen cabinet? What do you think about that? And I said, well, you know, I think I've seen something like that in Pottery Barn. And at first she was kind of like, you're right, I need to go look at it. I think she started realizing he didn't even look at the Pottery Barn magazine. But anyway, we did get that project taken care of. And Miss Stevens is joined retirement. She sends a warm greeting to all of you, says that you have a great year, particularly our colleagues over at Bear Branch Elementary School. We're going to have a great convocation this morning. We got our school board here with us. We have got to welcome and have them pledge into our district our brand new teachers of Magnolia ISD. Let's give them a round of applause wherever they are. We are going to start a new tradition this year. We're going to ring in the school year with our new school bell that's been over at Magnolia Elementary School since 1971. And we've got a special guest to help us ring that in this year. And then we're going to have our candle lighting ceremony and remind us why we teach and we do what we do every day for our kids. So to start with, let's get rolling. And we're going to introduce a very special group of people. It's our school board trustees, and these are the folks that are our elected moms and dads, taxpayers. They're our link to the community, and they help give us vision, they help give us direction. And guys, these guys are a wonderful group of professionals, and they bring such insight and knowledge and direction to help us make decisions about where we're going to go. They care about public education. They care about you. They care about you professionally and also care about you in your personal life. And they want to help us make this a great place. So I want you to help me make them feel real special again this morning. I'm going to call them out here, and I'm going to ask them to come right out here and stand in front of all of us. They're not going to like that at all. And you can applaud for every one of them when they come up. When I get them all up here, we're going to give them a big Magnolia ISD family standing ovation when I get them up here. So to start with, we've got our school board president, Mr. Gary Blizzard. Here, Gary. We have our vice president, Mr. Chuck Adcox. And we have our secretary of the board, Ms. Christy Baker. The assistant secretary is Mr. Joe Duncan. And trustee Sonia Ebels. Not with us are trustee Kelly McDonald. She is stuck in an airport in Singapore, excuse me. And Dr. Travis Moffitt wasn't able to be with us this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, your Magnolia ISD School Board. All right, guys, y'all can sit down now. Now we're going to hear a word of welcome from our board president, Mr. Gary Blizzard.
Wow, that was a surprise. Get called out like that. I want to tell you guys I've gotten the opportunity to speak to a couple of groups of you in the last couple of weeks, and I want to repeat what I told them that you probably hear a lot, and that is it's an honor and a privilege to talk to you, and you think, well, all right, I've heard that many times. Let me tell you, it's humbling, and let me tell you why. Because you guys have a noble profession. What you do, I mean, you're beside policemen, beside firefighters, beside the military. I mean, you guys, there could not be a higher calling for doing what you're doing. And you just can't imagine how appreciative we as parents are of that. You can make a positive impact on kids that have nothing to do with test scores at all. And I've got two kids. I'll have a daughter that's graduating this year, hard as that is for me to believe, but both my kids went through the Becky Stevens kindergarten academy years ago. But, and they remember stuff. They got a mind like a steel trap. Kids do. They remember things. They have memories much better than mine. They can remember what the impact you have on them. So they look up to many of you like you don't imagine, like you can't believe. So you've got an exceptionally noble profession. So that's why I say it's humbling to speak to you today. We appreciate your love for learning, and we appreciate your love for learning that you instill in our kids. And again, it's not just about the test scores, it's about the learning, the whole package, producing the final product that you guys do. And let's talk about our environment. We moved here, a lot of us did, because it was very purposeful and intentional. We wanted to be here. And it was because of you that we wanted to be here. We wanted to be here in a district like Magnolia has turned out to be. It's fantastic. We're very blessed to be here. And we want to continue creating that environment where people want to be here. And that goes for the students because they're loved and respected. They love being here for that. The teachers, you guys, we want to create an environment that makes you want to be here and to continue to create that environment through the administration that supports you, because all the parents that support you, all the kids that look up to you. We want to continue to create that environment that's a magnet that wants to draw the best talent, because we're doing that, and it's remarkable to see. It's great. I don't know if you guys follow this, but there's two sources of funding for public schools. One of them is the state, and the other one is property taxes all around us. And, while the state seems to believe that they need to have less of a hand in that, less support in that, and while our enrollment actually went down a little bit last year for the first time ever, but we don't expect that'll be the case going forward. What we as a board are particularly proud of, in the face of all that, last year's budget was tight, and we're proud of the fact that we were able to figure out a way to keep the raises going, to keep pouring funds into the classroom, because that's where it belongs. We want to keep the main thing the main thing. So you guys are never paid enough as far as I'm concerned, but we want to make sure we do the best job we can to pour as much as we can into the classroom. And that's you guys, and thank you for all that you do. We encourage you guys to keep creating this positive environment. Help us all keep the main things, like Dr. Todd likes to say. And we just want you to continue creating that environment that keeps us on that path to be the best district in the state of Texas. So thank you for all you do. I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you, Gary, and thanks, school board. So, all right, new teachers. We got to get you guys officially brought into the district right now. So we'll do something maybe a little different. We're gonna ask all of our new teachers to kind of sort of pledge their allegiance to the district and to all of us. First of all, new teachers, if you're a new teacher but you're brand new to the profession, brand new, this is your first year ever to teach anywhere, stand up. All right. How about that? Stay standing. Well, let me just say on behalf of all of us, welcome to the best profession you could ever have. It's going to be great. I will tell you, though, the first year that I taught was maybe the hardest year in my career. But it's all good. It all works out. You get better. I'll tell you what, and we're going to take the pledge here, but we all pledge to help this be a great and special year for you as we work collectively, and we're going to support you. And we're so glad you came here, and we hope that you can spend a whole professional lifetime right here at Magnolia ISD working with us, okay? All right? All right, if you're brand new to Magnolia ISD, but maybe been somewhere else, and you found your way here, stand up. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's great to have you here. I tell our principals every year, you go out, you find the best, you find the brightest. Our school boards tell us that's who we need here in front of our kids, and you bring them into Magnolia ISD, search high and search low. And I think they did a great job. This is a great looking group here, and you're going to help us on our journey to becoming the best. So I'm going to ask you, if you would now, to raise up your right hand. Isn't this cool? And I get to do all of this, you know. Raise your right hand. Do you pledge or affirm that you will, to the best of your professional ability, teach, support, nurture, and inspire the students in your charge, and work collaboratively with the other great professionals at your campus to create the best environment for teaching and learning possible, and that you will find a way to laugh and to enjoy every day as you work to keep the main thing in Magnolia ISD. If you do, signify by saying, I do. We welcome you to Magnolia ISD. It's great to have you here. You're now officially a part of the district with all the rights and privileges thereunto. And you can sit down. Thank you. We got you guys welcome. All right, we got to keep rolling. Now that we've got all of our new people brought into the fold, we're going to ring in the new year. I got a few guests that I want to kind of help bring up here on the stage, maybe, that'll help me get that started. I've got a couple of former school board members here. I see Charlie Riley over there, our commissioner from Precinct 2. Come on up, Charlie. I've got another former board member, Mr. Billy Thompson back here. Billy, come on up here. And Billy has moved on. He is now a board member at Region 6, so he's still Mr. Holland's boss. Hey, you guys want to say anything? Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Charlie?
How much time I got? No.
You got to get him out of here.
Okay. I do want to just welcome everybody back that were here before. Welcome back all the new teachers, employees. I want you to let you know that I really do believe you're going to find a home here in Magnolia. I really believe that. I moved here in 71, and I was not like Gary. I did not want to come. I was 14 years old. I was moving from the north side of Houston, had all my buddies, and I was coming here, and I come here kicking and screaming. But it didn't take me but a few months to realize it's the best thing that ever happened to me, because I enrolled as a sophomore at Magnolia High School. I met a freshman girl, the most beautiful woman I ever seen in my life, and we were married for 40 years last January. Magnolia is my home. Montgomery County is my home. Montgomery County supports each and every one of you. The Commissioner's Office will support you no matter what we need to do. If it can be done and I can make it happen, I'm a phone call away. Thank you. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie. Hey, we've got the executive director, what are we doing here, from Region 6 and former superintendent at Magnolia ISD, Mike Holland. You want to say hi, Mike?
Good morning. Welcome back, guys, and welcome to the best district in the state of Texas.
All right, now we have a very special guest of honor, our longest tenured employee, active employee She still works regularly in the building where I go to work every day, which is the Celeste Grave Educational Support Center. She started working in Magnolia ISD in 1952. 1952. That means that's, 64 years of service in this district. I don't know if the math is or whatever. She is 97 years young. And she's going to have a birthday at the end of this month. So before we actually ring the bell here for one of our great employees, we're going to sing happy birthday to her, and I'm going to get Charlie Riley to lead us in a happy birthday. Stand up here, Miss Celeste. Come on, right here.
Okay, happy birthday. Everybody ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Celeste. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. All right, Miss Celeste, we're going to have you come over here, and you're going to kick off the school year by ringing the bell. Miss Celeste has done, she's, I think, in the classroom, and she worked as a superintendent secretary for I don't know how many superintendents. And so I've always had a question I wanted to ask you, Celeste. Out of all of the superintendents you've worked with, who was your most favorite superintendent?
It was a tie.
Oh, yeah. All right, to start off this 2017-2018 school year for the first time with the bell, and we're going to count it down. I'm going to start from 5, and when we get to it, Miss Celeste is going to ring in this school year. So here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ring it in. I am looking.
When I started working in Magnolia School, we had 25 teachers, 300 students, $100,000 budget. Superintendent made $400 a month. I made $200.
He was a wise man. Miss Celeste Graves. She'll be in there fussing with me next week about that. All right, we got to keep rolling here now. Thank you, sir. Why are we here? Call it a convocation. You look that up. It's where, as an organization or group, we come together. And sometimes dedicate ourselves to a great purpose we have in front of us. Yesterday, I was blessed that I had a chance to sit in on a training that we had for our secretaries, our paras, our clerks, and we had that presented by a corporate training on customer service by one of the very best customer service friendly corporations out there, Chick-fil-A. And they were telling us how they create that special atmosphere it's just different when you go into Chick-fil-A. And one of the things they talked about was you can't just tell people, enjoy handing people chicken in a paper sack out the window and make it a great, that's not a big enough mission. It has to be something bigger than that. And if you delve into anything about that corporation and their culture, they have a culture of service. We're going to give back. They talk about going the second mile for all the people that walk in there. They talk about trying to identify the needs of all the people, or where those people are emotionally as they come into it, and somehow be of a servant to those people because of what they believe in their heart about Jesus Christ for that company. It's bigger than a piece of chicken in a sack. And it's something that people will tie their entire life to and dedicate working for that company and try to find a way to get a store and work with it. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about what we do. And many times we get caught up in the day in, day out part of what happens in the school and the process and about the whatever. And at times like this, we need to step back and we need to think a little bit about the broader implications about why we teach. What are we about? I heard Dr. Mike Moses, and I think it was at a breakfast or luncheon at Region 6 we had in Dallas or whatever, he was talking to a group of educators, and he talked about our democracy in our country was founded on three great pillars: the home, the church, and our great system of public schools in this country. Home, the church, public schools, democracy. Okay, folks, we are the tool of our country and our culture that helps pass our democracy on from one generation to the next. And democracy is, by its very nature, a sort of fragile thing. It just doesn't happen. If you look back over the history of governments and other things that have endured, this is sort of a new sort of experiment that we're working on here. And it is so important that all our founders, and you can read many of the treatises about things they believed about public education, why it was so important that one generation passed along the responsibility of democracy to the next generation. So yes, goodness gracious, we got to teach those kids to read. We have to make sure they understand science and computation, mathematics, all the things that they're going to need to be successful in whatever endeavors that takes them. But we also have to give them the abilities to think critically, to understand fact from fiction, to understand truth from propaganda. Because if they can't figure those things out, they're going to buy into people that aren't going to help make this country what it has been in the past. And that is so important for us to pass along those skills for them. There's one other thing that I think is also important to remember about what we do, and I want us to think about it. We are the hearts, the hands, the kind words for our country, for our state, for our community, to many of those who need it the most, who are the most fragile, who really don't always know that there's someone out there who cares for them. We're those people. And our community charges us with that, to go out and find those kids and be that, be light and be salt for those people. And you guys do a fantastic job. That's why I was so proud that you've been all those places. And my prayer is for us every day, first of all, that I can work with these folks and everybody to create an environment that you feel special in, that you feel supported in, so in turn, your cup overflows and you can go out there and be a blessing to these kiddos that are going to show up in your rooms. And you go find them. And you be the heart, you be the hands, you be the kind words for our state, for our nation, for our country, for those kids. There aren't many people doing it. And you guys are doing a fantastic job of it. And I just want to make sure that we understand that's a part of what the main thing is in this district. We're going to see a couple of videos right here because you're already doing those things. And I just want to impress it on you. We could have probably found 100 more of these stories. And I hope that next year we find 100 more, because I think other people need to hear our story in public education about the other great things that happen within our school buildings. So let's take a look at our colleagues and the things they're doing with some of those kids. And when we get done with that, we're going to have a chance to hear from our Teachers of the Year, and they'll inspire us. Thank you all so much, and have a great year.
At Smith Elementary, a student began in kindergarten, and right from the beginning, we noticed that he was struggling academically. He was so incredibly sweet and quiet and shy, but really struggled academically. And teachers began working with him year after year, throwing every kind of intervention we had at him, but each year he would fall short of the academic goals we had for him.
This past year was my first year as a teacher, and to say that I was, nervous, everybody gets those first year jitters, being a teacher, and having this student in my classroom probably was one of the easiest things that I did all year. He was a light in my room, and I always remember if he was ever absent, I would think, where is he? I want to see him, I want to see his face, and all the other kids would ask me if I knew where he was, because he was just so much fun in our classroom.
He was a very good student. He was very well behaved. And as I got to know him throughout the year, I could see that he had this special quality. He always wanted to do his best. I loved working with him because he was never afraid to take a chance. He wanted to be extraordinary at what he was doing.
I met this student when he was in kindergarten. He's now going into 6th grade, and he is just the light of the school. He smiles, he lights up a room, he is a friend to everybody. But he did struggle academically, and we were always, since 1st grade, wondering why he wasn't making the progress that we thought he could make. So he qualified for SPED, and we were able to give him all these tools. And this district is wonderful about giving us all the tools that we need. The hard part is finding the right tool for the right kid.
There was one time where I chose him as my captain of the week, is what we do here at Smith, and I chose him as my captain of the week just to represent him at school and show him how awesome and important he is to me as a teacher and everybody else at the school. And our principal announces their name and calls them up to the front in front of the whole entire school. Everybody's sitting on the floor at the gym. And when they called his name, he immediately popped up and ran up there. And as he ran across in front of everybody, he dabbed and across the whole way. And everybody just fell apart and cheered and clapped for him. And as a teacher, seeing his peers be like that for him was one of the best feelings I had all year, and that's probably something that I'll never forget.
So this was a very special year for him. 5th grade is a big star year, as we all know.
When we received the star scores for 5th grade, we asked him to come into one of the classrooms.
We got his language arts teacher, we got the principal, we got the assistant principal, and the special ed teacher. We pulled them all aside with this student, and when we told him that he had passed, we all had tears in our eyes. He had tears in his eyes. He was just so happy and so proud of himself.
It was an incredible moment to see the look in his eye and see all these grown-ups surrounding him and loving him, letting him know that he did it. All of his hard work paid off, and all the hard work of the staff of Smith Elementary paid off.
And it's the first time he has passed any of his STAR tests. And then when we got our science scores back in the summer, found out he passed that as well. So he just really worked so hard. He's the kind of student that makes me love my job, because you can see that light go off in his eyes, and the love of learning that he has just makes me want to be a better teacher, makes me want to help more students so I can hopefully instill that love of learning, that light in all of them.
He was one of the reasons why I became a SPED teacher. He needed the right tools, and I know we had them to provide to him, and he just excelled, and that was the reason. His persistence and consistency with everything that he did just made me want to become a sped teacher, because I knew I could help more students like him.
He used to wear a shirt and it said, "Hello, my name is awesome." And he really believed that he was awesome. And what we try to do at our school is create a culture where everyone believes that every student can learn, and it makes them believe in themselves. And if we have every child believing that, yes, I am awesome, I can conquer the world, then who's to say they can't?
So 2 years ago, we had a student start her 7th grade year here who, it was clear the first couple of days, she was struggling. She would get to school, and this is, again, only in the first couple of days, would hide. And that would be hiding both in the classroom and out of the classroom. So we'd see her in the hallway, and she'd have a hoodie on as far as she could put over her head, and she would, at lunch, isolate herself in the halls. She was with anybody, and we could just tell that, you know, this is a kid that was maybe having a tougher time than most at 7th grade. In class, we heard from our teachers that first thing she did was get in, sit at the desk, and put her head down. So we knew right away that this was a student that was going to need some extra attention.
I first met the young lady last year at the very beginning of the school year. She was actually hiding in a restroom.
My first impression of her was, this is a student who is going to be a challenge.
She struggled getting out of bed, much less coming to school and dealing with all of the student and staff. She was very uncomfortable in public places and would try to isolate herself as much as possible.
Every student every day before they walk in the door, I shake their hand. I teach them how to shake hands properly, make eye contact, and I address each of them by name, and I try to say something to them, whether it's about, you have on a nice shirt, or how was your weekend? And she would not shake my hand at first. She would raise her hand up and she would just give me the sleeve of her hoodie, which she wore the hoodie every day.
This student was, started off the year basically walking but asleep. So in the hallways, just kind of despondent, just no amount of correction would wake her up or get her engaged, and it was all on her terms.
At the beginning of the year, this young lady was not very fond of going into our cafeteria where there were so many different students, so many different people, and so much noise going on. And so I started watching and noticing that there was a pattern where she would hide in the restroom every day during lunch. Like, she would just go into a stall and she would sit there for the entire lunch time. And so I wanted to do something to give her a space to be where she could be alone in a quiet area, but not have to be sitting in a restroom stall. So I allowed her to go into a small, quiet area. I found out through my past aide that she loves to play guitar.
This student, we found out that she has a love for music and guitar, and that she is allowed to play the guitar sometimes at her church. And so I knew that was something she was interested in. So I made a point to find a guitar for her. It wasn't brand new, but I did bring it, and our band director, Mr. McDaniel, he put new strings on it and fixed it up and made it just like new.
And every day during lunch, I would come and get her out of class like a minute or so before the bell, and I would take her into that area and let her check in, so that we always knew where she was, and let her sit there. And if she wanted to play the guitar or whatever she wanted to do, she had her quiet time, her space.
I think the turning point with this student was building a positive relationship. And that really is what I try to do with all my students, but her in particularly, I knew it was going to be the breaking point. And so, you know, I took that opportunity to say hi to her anytime I saw her. She thought I was ridiculous and silly sometimes, and that's okay, because towards the end of the year, she would respond to me and would, you know, do the things I asked her to do. She started looking like she cared about herself, her appearance. She was getting haircuts, and you could tell she was working with some makeup. And I know Ms. Schreiner was very helpful also with encouraging her with that. And I think when she started feeling better about herself, she was open to me actually having a relationship with her.
A lot of the work, our past teacher did an amazing job with holding her accountable. So when she finally figured out these people care enough about me that they're not going to let me just walk through these halls and just aimlessly go throughout my day. They're going to care enough to put in the work to make this happen. And when we really started to get those structures in place for her accountability, and she finally saw it as us wanting what was best for her instead of being out to get her, she changed tremendously. She understood that assignments needed to be done in class, that we couldn't sleep through class and then come do them later. And she stopped doing that as much. Now, it wasn't perfect, but by the end of the year, you could get her to do some things in class. And the really, really cool thing was that she went from a high amount of accommodations that, just daily work and daily help, to working fairly independently and being able to complete assignments at the same level as her peers without a lot of those accommodations.
I found out that it was her birthday coming up, and so I wanted to do something special. The young lady has had a rough home life. Without getting too much information into her personal story, there was a death in her family, and actually a death of a parent. And so I started getting to know a little bit more of her story at that point. She kind of opened up and was telling me a little bit more about what had happened. And it was coming around time for her birthday. And so she had kind of gone on a downward spiral for a little bit, and so I wanted to try to find something that could pick her back up. And so we brought cupcakes to the school, and I had seen several different kids that she had interacted with in the hallways. And so I went to a couple different classrooms, and I grabbed those kiddos out of class for about 5 minutes, and we all went and surprised her during her lunch with a cupcake, and we all sang happy birthday. And a couple of her different teachers on the campus had gotten her a small birthday gift. And so they presented her with those birthday gifts. We sang, they talked for a few minutes, and then I took the young ladies back to class. And that truly, I think, was a turnaround for her, because I think she knew that we cared. She knew that we wanted to be a part of not just her school life, but a part of her well-being in her whole life. And so I think that made a huge difference in her world.
A lot of what we do as educators is focused on the academics, but there's so much more to what we do here. And the way that we serve this student, I think, is a great example of how it truly takes a village mentality. I mean, that's the old African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, in this case, that's certainly true. We all saw that there was a need beyond just what we do in the classroom. And all of these people in the school came together to assist this student, because that's what we're about. And that's not just what Magnolia Junior High is about. That's one of the great things about working at Magnolia ISD. Is that's what we're about as a district, is reaching out to every student that comes here and finding out what they need to make sure that they're successful both here and beyond.
Good morning, Magnolia ISD. I'm Anita Hebert, the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction. And isn't it incredible to be reminded what we do and why we do it, and get ready to start the year like that? I'm going to tell you, you guys have so inspired me this summer. Watching you on Twitter, seeing you grabbing drinks over at the ESC, your enthusiasm is so contagious. And it's kind of spreading everywhere, really, all over the world. And I am so excited about what we have ahead, because you've been reading and learning and sharing with each other, even in between vacation, fun things that you're doing to challenge each other to be the very best. And I am so excited about what you're going to do in your classrooms this year. And so thank you for that, for bringing that best self all throughout the summer and getting ready to start today. We do have now the opportunity to be inspired from some of our very own, the ones who have been named the best of the best among us. And so first today, we have Nicole Riley, our secondary teacher of the year. She has been in Magnolia ISD for 16 years, starting at Magnolia Junior High and now at Magnolia West High School. She is the English department chair there, and she teaches AP and IB English 4. I know that hundreds of students have been touched by her, just like those stories that we've heard just now. And I know that you'll be touched by her when you listen to her words today. Please join me in welcoming our Secondary Teacher of the Year, Nicole Riley. Wow, thank you. Those are my West peeps over there. So good morning. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for this opportunity and by saying what a privilege it is to have been selected as Magnolia ISD Secondary Teacher of the Year. It's truly an honor. It's an honor because Magnolia is my home. Minus a few years here and there, I've always chosen it to be my home. It's been the home of the thousands of students that I've taught in my 16 years here. It's the home of my 3 children, and it's where they've gone to school. Each of my babies has passed through the halls of Williams, MJH 6, MJH, and this year, the 3rd and final one, will pass through the doors of Magnolia West as a senior. It's going to be a rough year. Very rough. They've had the fortunate opportunity to have had you, the awesome educators before me, as their teachers. So as a mom and a teacher, I'm honored, and I thank you. I think the word shock and utter disbelief can describe how I felt as Anita called my name at the Teacher Appreciation Banquet. Pride then flooded in for a split second until Dr. Bullock turned and smiled and said, "Now you get to give that speech." Thanks, Dr. Bullock. Some of you may not know this, but the only C I ever received was in, guess what? Speech. And here I am. So I ask you to be gentle with me today. You know, laugh, even if you think it's not funny, because in my head it was. I mentioned my own babies when I first started because that's how I've always treated my students, as my own. It makes a difference to them, even if they don't let you see it. So as I began thinking about what I wanted to say, I thought about discussing the impact we have on our kids. I wanted to encourage you to wait for that twinkle you'll see in their eye when they finally get it. To relish in the long-coming Facebook post, thanking you for all you've done. To treasure the tear-jerking note left upon your desk when no one was looking, and to cherish the beautiful handwritten letter you received from that new West Point grad you didn't allow to give up. Those are the moments that we wait for, the moments that get us through the day when we think that the behavior of a student or two may have us on the news. This past year, I spent time with a first-year teacher who was struggling with the task of teaching 140 freshmen every day. Who wouldn't, right? She was struggling not because she wasn't doing a fabulous job. She was. She was struggling because she couldn't see the immediate effect of what she was doing. She had chosen teaching as a second career, coming from a place where she had a project to do, a plan to devise, a completion date to meet, and a celebration to have when it was over. Very different from our teaching world. Our projects are kids, and they don't always adhere to the plan. She needed reassurance that what she was doing was working, and she was reaching her kids. For some reason, and for some, our job and our calling is a thankless one without the immediate gratification of other professions. And that's hard. So with the encouragement of my associate principal and friend, Claudia, I decided not to talk about the kids today, but to talk about us and the impact we have upon each other, especially when it's hard.
So I want each of you to take just a second and think about your mentor teachers, or maybe your teacher next door. Hopefully you're like me and need much longer than a second to list them. I've been fortunate, so blessed. Magnolia ISD has raised me well. So I want to share a little bit of what I learned during my raising. When I first started teaching, I was older, already a mom of 3, returning to the real world. I was fortunate that my first year felt like I was going home. I started teaching at Magnolia Junior High, which is where I went. And I was lucky enough that some of my own junior high teachers were still there. God help them. I knew Miss Bryce, Miss Kane, Miss Cook as my teachers, and I knew Miss Kay and Miss McNulty as my coaches. I remember thinking they were great teachers. Then suddenly, I realized, oh wow, they're real people. If you've ever had the awesome opportunity of becoming friends later in life with a former teacher, you know what I mean. It's amazing. I was lucky. They took me under their wings and they showed me what teaching was all about. And I learned much from them. I worked with some of the finest people to have ever walked our halls. I was loved and supported, even when I thought that first year I had lost my ever-loving mind. And it's a good thing I had that support. I needed it. The first year was rough. I could tell stories for days about that 8th grade, 7th period class. Like any first-year teacher, and especially a junior high teacher, I struggled. Sometimes with curriculum, sometimes with discipline, sometimes with everything. Some days it was hard to look for that twinkle in their eye. There was one girl in particular that tried me every day. I whined and cried and griped day after day. I just couldn't find a way to reach her. Lucky for me, Cindy Sands was teaching next door. Woohoo, y'all can cheer. She walked in my classroom one day, asked to speak with the girl, and told me that the student would be attending in her room for the next couple of days. To this day, I'm still not sure what Sands told her. All I know is I was able to catch my breath, and the girl was happy to return and was never an issue again. I also watched Sands pull students out of her class and talk to them in a firm, loving way. In a way that even made me want to behave and be a part of her classroom. From Sands, I learned that I was never alone in this teaching thing. She taught me how to handle students in a way where they learned I would not put up with any nonsense, yet still know that I loved them dearly. During that first year, it was hard to hear the negative talk of some teachers, and even harder not to participate in it. I was lucky to have Linda Wren. She's the most positive woman I know, even in the face of adversity. I've joked for years that when she felt a negative word come to her lips, she quickly and loudly said, "I need some tea. Someone get me some hot tea." I'm not sure why, but it worked. Wren is the person everyone wants to be when they grow up. I know I do. She blessed me with a positive outlook and the ability to know when to ask for tea, at least most of the time. Then there were weekly trips to the library with that 7th period class. Poor Mrs. Summers. I hadn't quite realized that the librarian did not appreciate me bellowing across her library. She was quick to tell me not to worry about those rowdy boys. She had past students at the high school who would take care of them next year. Summers taught me true teacher humor, including when to laugh at myself. Then there was Mrs. Wright. The stories I could tell you about her. She always spoke of herself in the third person. Mrs. Wright had an 8th grade student who decided it would be funny to ask her quite an inappropriate question in front of the class. She responded by clapping her hands and saying, "Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Miss Wright's going to tell you." She then asked him to step in the hall and called his mom on the cell phone. She said, "Mrs. So-and-so, Brandon has just asked a question in class, and I think it's a question that only his mom should answer." Of course, Brandon is going, As Miss Wright said, get on the phone. She taught me about holding my kids accountable. The teacher I probably learned the most from is Marilyn Johnston. She taught me to challenge my students and to never lower my standards, to teach them to rise and succeed. I can still hear her yelling down the hall if we were outside after the tardy bell. Am I the only one here stomping out ignorance today? So for those of you teaching junior high this year, you're going to have fun every day. I always did. When I moved to the high school, I searched for that world of support, and I found Dana Dean. Dana taught me you work hard, and you work hard every day, whether it's the first day of your first year or the last day of your 35-year career. You work hard because your kids deserve it. I had so many questions as I learned to maneuver through the high school world of GPAs, graduation requirements, and all it entails. The standard but ever true answer was another question posed by Holly Ray. What's best for kids? Holly taught me to reflect on my beliefs and do what was right by my kids. As a teacher, it's the best lesson you'll ever learn. A couple of years ago, Hagel, who is my best friend and teaching partner of 15 years, and I were sitting at lunch with some of our new baby English teachers. We were telling these stories and stories from our own years of teaching and laughing and reminiscing, and then it happened. We went silent, locked eyes, and the thought leapt from each of our brains and met in midair. Oh my gosh, we're them. We had become Wren and Johnson. I'm not sure why she gets to be Wren, but anyway, we had become those older, wiser teachers looking out for the babies. We laughed and thought, wow, what an awesome responsibility. So as I look out at all of the new teachers and all of us old birds, and those of you who are in between, we all have something to offer each other, whether it's your first year or your 30th. I charge you to be the Wren and Johnsons of today. Be the story they're telling at the lunch table years from now. Because honestly, what better way to make a bigger difference in the lives of our kids than to make the difference in the lives of their teachers? One last story. This summer at the Texas Literacy Conference, I promised a group of fabulous women that I would work this story into my speech somehow. So here goes. There's a group of us leaving Magnolia Market in Waco, Chip and Joanne's place. As we left, we passed a poor old woman sitting on the sidewalk asking for a snack. None of us had any food except for Connie. Elisor, where are you? Be proud of your leader. The cashier at the store had sweetly given Connie a beautiful cream cheese topped red velvet cupcake because it was Connie's 25th wedding anniversary. As we passed the lady on the sidewalk and she asked for a snack, Connie looked at me, shrugged her shoulders, and bent down. I would like to say she handed her that whole beautiful cupcake. But by then, it was now her half-eaten beautiful cupcake, and the lady was proud to get it. We gave Connie a hard time, of course, but in reality, isn't that what we do? We give our kids all that we have, half-eaten or not. Why can't we do the same for each other? So I ask you, be generous as Connie. Be generous with your knowledge. Be generous with your experience. Be generous with your understanding, your encouragement, your ears, and your time. There are those around you that need you to lead them, to inspire them, to listen to them, and sometimes just to help them make it through that 7th period class. Be there. Let them know they're not alone. Get them a cup of tea. Laugh with them. Teach them accountability. Work hard with them. Help them understand what's best for kids, and always share your cupcake. It's not just our job to inspire our kids. We must strive to inspire each other. So I'll close with one of my favorite quotes from a line in an INXS song. We all have wings, but some of us don't know why. Take each other under your wing. It's our job to help each other take flight. I wish you all a wonderful year.
I've asked Nicole to stay because HEB is here and they're so excited to present a gift to her to start her year. Gary?
Once again, thank you so much. You did an amazing job last year and for the past 16 years. And we look forward to another year with you. We'd like to give you a $50 gift card just to get you going on the year.
All right, next we have our elementary teacher of the year, Natasha Fogelsong. Natasha teaches 5th grade math and science at Williams Elementary, and she's been there making a difference for 5 years now. She pours her heart and soul into her work every day, and I am so excited to hear from her as well. So please join me in welcoming our elementary teacher of the year, Natasha Fogelsong.
Okay. You don't truly realize how many teachers in Magnolia until you have to stand up here and speak to them. My biggest fear today, though, was being able to see over the podium. So luckily, with my heels, I made it, and I can see you all. This is truly a dream come true for me. I am so grateful to be standing here, and I want to thank everyone here, the wonderful school board, everyone in this room, all of the district personnel, and of course, my amazing Williams family. There are so many teachers here deserving of this award, many of you that I have learned from, many that are my personal heroes and mentors, many who helped me make it through my tough days, and all of you that are making a difference every day. That's what each and every one of you are, a difference maker. I have to give you a little background on me to understand the message that I want to share with you. I don't mind sharing my struggles and my poor choices, because they're what led me here today. I was one of those kids that always grew up wanting to be a teacher. I bossed around my poor little brother and made him my student. I'm pretty sure I'm the reason he never truly enjoyed school. I would watch teachers grade papers and wish that I could be sitting there grading for them. I know. I have been lucky enough to always know deep inside that working with students was my calling, and I love every day that I get to live this dream of mine. However, it was a hard path for me to get here. My parents divorced when I was in high school. My mom left, and I suddenly became a mother to my little brother. I rebelled a little, making some very poor choices that hurt me during high school. I'll spare you all those details. I had to work full-time, and I had to help my family, so I dropped out after 1 year of college, and my personal dream was postponed. I have had other careers and many other life experiences before I was blessed enough to live my dream. At 29, through hard work, tears, grit, and support from my family, putting up with my insane idea of going to school full-time, working full-time, and raising newborn twins, I graduated at the top of my class and holding a new record for lack of sleep. I was determined, though, that I was going to show my children and future students that anything is possible if you are willing to work hard enough. Now, because this was my passion, I automatically assumed that that would translate into amazing teaching. I was organized, I was prepared with super amazing PowerPoints. I had lesson plans, and I just knew that I was automatically going to be the cool teacher that everybody loved. What a disaster that first year was. I quickly found the students did not care about my preparation or my amazing PowerPoints. I was baffled at their behavior, and I was seeing the lowest student performance in my grade level, and I had no idea what to do. More times than not, I found myself in a supply room of the school crying because I could not connect to my students and they would not listen to me. That year was my awakening. Thankfully, I had supportive mentors to hold my hand and get me through that year. These amazing women taught me that you do not have to be a certain way to be a difference maker. I learned the tough lesson that there is so much more to teaching than just delivering curriculum. The next year, I decided I would make a difference by sharing my truth with my students, the good, the bad, and the hilarious. I started the first day telling them all the ways that I had been made fun of as a child. From my shortness, the favorite nickname was Smurfette, to my big forehead, the best nickname was Fivehead. It's all right, you can laugh at me, I do. I told them about all my struggles as a child, as a teenager, and as an adult. I shared with them all of my failures, my mistakes, and my life lessons. They learned about all of these faults, and then they learned about all of the goals that I have met in spite of them. I taught them to laugh at themselves as I do, and to take their anguish and failure and use it as fuel for their future. I was tough and I had high expectations, but they learned that I always had their backs and would help them persevere through any situation. My truth helped them realize that if I can overcome all of these things, then they can too. I shared that I was far from perfect, and astonishingly, they still loved me for it. Thanks to my first year failures, I have found what makes every day so special. These students become my family, and together we become difference makers for each other. So don't be afraid to share your truth and be your true self. If you were held back, or were dyslexic, or struggled, or picked on, share that with your students. I promise they will embrace it. This is my truth. My goal is to continue to get better at meeting the needs of every child. I spend the time to learn their problems inside and outside of school and find ways to help them and relate to them and connect. I look beyond the grades, the IEPs, the paperwork that comes to me the previous year, and I give every student a fresh start every day. If someone looked at my life on paper, they might immediately see all my high school failures, my gaps between my first and my last years of college, and all the mistakes that I have ever made. My struggles would likely define me, and they would miss out on everything inside of me that is my true passion. Every student, every teacher, every school, every person deserves a chance to grow beyond what a piece of paper has to say about them. You have the power to change lives. That is both an honor and an amazing responsibility. To quote Dr. Hebert, your influence is like a ripple in the pond. You don't get to see how far it goes or where it ends. So this year, as you get bogged down with paperwork, meeting, grading, lesson plans, amazing PowerPoints, take a moment to remember that you are making a difference. Our job is tough, but rewarding. Our schools, our students, everyone here is making a difference every day. Remember the importance of the relationships that you build, your amazing abilities outside of a curriculum, and the things that make each school special and unique. The student that struggles with math and reading and speaks 2 languages, but plays the drum like he could be in a famous rock band, needs you to make a difference. The student who draws remarkable portraits that one day will be showcased in art shows, but is behind in reading because she is dyslexic, needs you to make a difference. The student that wants to go to school but misses the bus and his parents don't have gas money to drive him, needs you to make a difference. The teachers that have growth mindsets and strive to be the #1 difference makers in their students' lives are not defined by what's on paper. We do make a difference. I make a difference. I connect with students because I remember that I have been one, and the relationships that I have built and the connections I help students make go far beyond helping them find a love for math and science. It's our job not only to teach a curriculum, but to create better people than the ones that stepped into our rooms. I share myself fully with my students, and I build relationships that outlast the year that I have with them. I teach curriculum, but I also help students discover their unique talents and develop a greater love for learning than any test can quantify. When a student is asked what makes my class special, their first answer is that I am always there for them, or I make them laugh, or I believe in them, not that I make sure that they pass the STAR test or that they get an A. So my final wish for you as you walk on your campus to begin this next school year is please remember, above all else, enjoy the ride, share your truth, and make the connections, because you are a difference maker.
We thank you for your perseverance in life and in the classroom, and thanks for what you're doing for our students here in Magnolia. And from HEB, we'd like to get you started as well with a $50 gift card.
All right, Natasha, we also have another special guest here. Mr. Mike Holland, I think, has an award he wants to present. Mr. Holland?
Yes, good morning. Let me get a couple things straight first, though. And Celeste, I'm sorry. You know I can't keep secrets, but when you whispered to me on the way out that I was your favorite superintendent, I'm sorry, Todd.
I know that about you, so yeah.
I've never. Those that know me know I can't keep any secrets, but again, you know, someone asked me when I walked in this morning, they said, "You just can't stay away, can you?" And I said, "Well, as long as you guys keep winning awards, I've got to come back every year." And again, I'm blessed to get to come back and begin the school year with you guys. It's just a great opportunity. Todd talked about earlier about us being here since 1999. We came together and had a wonderful time. HEB wasn't here at that time. There wasn't anything here at that time, hardly. So, but it sure has changed. I was excited when I saw us playing The Price is Right. I thought, oh great, HEB's here. I love their barbecue. Where all the audience will get something in the end. And then I remembered that's the Ellen show. So I was a little disappointed in that. But again, thank you guys for being here. Again, it's my honor as the Executive Director of Region 6 to be able to come to our school districts in our region and be able to give out awards in various times of the year and talk about the things that people are doing. They're doing for our children in Region 6, doing for our children in Magnolia ISD. You know, guys, the theme that I heard over and over and over today was about relationships. About relationships. You know, the videos about relationships with our students. This lady right here is the epitome of, no one knows how much you know until they know how much you care. And I read that over and over in her application as I was looking at it the last few days to talk about when we got here. And again, I think that's so true. No one, it doesn't matter what you know, but they do know about what you care about and when you care about them. I want to tell you, you first-year teachers, I'm so proud of you for getting into the greatest profession there is. But remember this, our kids don't need friends. They need role models. They need people they can trust. They need people they can turn to. They got plenty of friends, but they need you to be that moral character in front of them each and every day. One of the things in Natasha's, in her application talked about that she gave her children the ability and the safety to fail. But she also gave them the ability and the safety to soar. And again, so I think that really speaks so highly about teachers. There's not a greater profession. And we need you guys each and every day to make that difference. So I didn't mean to get up and preach, but I can't help myself. I get in front of a microphone. Sometimes I do that. They're turning out the lights on me. So it's like the Oscars. They're pulling me away. But I'm going to go ahead and finish up in today. But it's with great pleasure that I do come today, and I'm able to, and that's not a surprise because we did this last Friday at Region 6, but to get to honor a Williams Elementary teacher. And I saw the Williams group right here, so you guys all stand up too, because this is your honor as well. We all know that it takes the entire campus, the entire district to truly make a difference. It's like the village we talked about earlier in the video. But it's my honor to recognize Natasha Folesong as the Region 6 Elementary Teacher of the Year. Out of over 150 elementary schools in the region, she is the selection. So our Region 6.
And I think you all know one of our goals is we're going to have, it's going to happen, the Teacher of the Year for the state of Texas is going to come out of Magnolia ISD. And I know we're going to be represented well in this next contest. Give her another round of applause.
The candle ceremony is a tradition at Magnolia ISD. We start by lighting the candle of knowledge. Gary Blizzard, our school board president, and Dr. Stevens will light this important and substantial flame. It stands for truth, honesty, integrity. It stands for the ability to think and reason well. It stands for care and nurture and hope for the future. All the things that our community wants our students to learn as we teach them our respected disciplines. This candle burns brightly as a visible symbol of the work our school board and our community commission us to this coming school year. And now we light candles signifying the unity of our school district and the people and programs who support our campuses. Our Magnolia ISD directors will come forward representing programs and departments that support our district. Dr. Eric Morris, Assistant Superintendent of Operations, will now introduce the operation directors who provide support to our students and campuses.
Thank you, sir. First, Director of Finance, Mr. Garrett Mate, will light the candle. Executive Director of Facilities, Mr. Tim Bruner. Director of Maintenance, Mr. Alan Meeks. Executive Director of Support Services, Mr. Joe Deavies. Director of Food Service, Ms. Kimberly Ohlendorf. And last but certainly not least, Director of Transportation, Mr. Tim Owen.
Dr. Jason Bullock, Assistant Superintendent of Administration, will now introduce the administrative directors who provide support to our students and campuses.
Mike Spradlin, Director of Athletics, will light the candle for the administration directors. Director of After School Programs, Stephanie Saker. Director of Communications and PR, Denise Myers. Director of Fine Arts, Dr. Foy Campbell. Director of Human Resources, Sam Bell. Director of Peens, Paula Hudson. Director of Student Services, Rob Stewart. Executive Director of Technology, Rod Lear. And Director of Special Education, Dr. Kendra Wiggins.
Dr. Anita Hebert, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum, will now introduce the curriculum directors who represent the excellence we strive for in our classrooms.
Susie Johnson, Director of Mathematics, will light the candle for the Curriculum and Instruction Department. Then we have the Director of Elementary English Language Arts, Susie McKinney. The Director of Secondary English Language Arts, Shay Garland. Director of Science, Cherie Gallimore. Director of Assessment and Accountability, Amy Locker. Director of Student Success Programs, Erin Vance. Interim Director of CTE Programs, Michael Daniel. And finally, Director of Special Programs, Lynn Blair.
And now we will light the candles of the school community. Our principals will come forward, representing their school community and signifying the importance of the work of each individual school as part of the collective whole. Tammy Haley, Lyon Elementary School. Kelly Jones, Williams Elementary. Megan Baker, Magnolia Parkway Elementary. Connie Polinsky, Ellisor Elementary. Carrie Quinn, Nickel Sawmill Elementary. Lady Roman, Magnolia Elementary. Holly Ray, Bear Branch Elementary. Dion Rivera, Smith Elementary. Lisa Bertrand, Magnolia 6. Tommy Burns, Bear Branch 6. Dr. Ben King, Bear Branch Junior High. Representing MJH, Donna Covarrubias. Dean Frederick, Alpha Academy. Robert Fowler, DAEP. Dr. Brandon Garza, Magnolia West High School. And finally, Dr. Metz from Magnolia High School. Our Teachers of the Year will now step forward to light the candles of the educators. Each year, we as educators must dedicate and refocus our efforts on learning and the work of knowledge that we seek to engage our students in. Our community has entrusted us with their most precious resources and tasked us with a moral obligation to instill the values and virtues that are the bedrock of our society. We pass those values and virtues to our students through the work required during the acquisition of knowledge. Teachers, let us remember that this is the real purpose of the work that we do. Our work is the noblest of all professions. The flame of knowledge must burn bright and boldly from those who are called teachers. At this time, we introduce Lucy Stinn, valedictorian from Magnolia High School, class of 2017. Lucy will attend the University of Pennsylvania to major in mechanical engineering and begin her life's journey to fulfill her destiny. She represents the culmination of all we do in teaching and caring for students. Her life will be a reflection of the work of all of us, and it will be magnified by the work she does. Through her and all the students we influence, we change the world. Let's congratulate Lucy as she carries her candle out to begin her journey. Finally, we look together to a new beginning, a new season, a renewal of that noble call to teach. Now we introduce Brianna Gibbs, daughter of Ricky Gibbs, and granddaughter of Barbara Gibbs. Brianna will enter Nichols Sawmill Elementary as a kindergarten student this year. She represents our dedication to our students, to the hope we have as they enter our classrooms. For Brianna and all like her, we dream of success. So now, let's all rise and join with me as we collectively dedicate ourselves to the noble work before us. Brianna, please light your candle from the flame of knowledge. Magnolia ISD, have a great school year. You guys are dismissed.